Oh. Unique New York. The ostrich head out of the
Scotch. Okay.
The ostrich head out.
We are live. Good morning, Queensbury, New York. Welcome back to Coffee Talk for the, say, episode 14, 15, maybe 16, could be 17. We'll figure that out on a later date. We got a couple special guests here. Steph, Dylan, Thomas Center. If you guys want to do a brief introductory of when you started, how long you've been here for.
Hi, I'm Stephanie. I have been coming to the gym, I don't know, at least 3 years, maybe longer, with Ryan over 2. And I go to the 5 a.m. class because it's the best class.
Little dig.
I started November of last year. Come to the 5 a.m. class because it is the best class.
We're going to have Olympics, 4:30 versus the 5 a.m.
And it's been a good adventure so far.
Sure. This is Josh Chuda. That's
Josh.
Dan. Him and I are just here for the ride.
Yeah.
I feel like this is it's like a family. Like we're gonna have dinner here in a minute.
Yes,
Everybody's on the couch. We're watching the game or something.
So which one is Dad?
Yeah.
This one. Which one is Mom?
You.
So these are actually a couple of our previous winners. Steph, the overall winner, and Thomas with second place.
Third.
Third.
I was giving you a high right there.
All right.
You could have wrote it. And we just wanted to have them on, give them a little piece of their experience, since it was what do you call it, a weight loss challenge?
Yeah.
Call it an overall weight loss challenge. Maybe some tips and tricks, their journey throughout. Since I think a lot of people do tend to struggle with weight loss sometimes. Maybe some things that helped you guys become successful. I guess we'll have a couple questions.
Let's go background, struggling with fitness. I know Mom, I wasn't looking at him, but I was saying, scheduling I know is tough with traveling, with practices, games, and having your own social lives. Where do you think the wheels kind of fell off for you guys where you're like, shit, I need to do something? Anybody can go.
Well, I worked at the firehouse in Glens Falls for 26 years. So dinners, food at the firehouse was a little bit more comfort food. There was always food in the kitchen. If you had downtime, if you came back late at night, couldn't fall asleep. So just, kind of packed on the pounds here and there. I had done Gerber a while back, and then...
what's Gerber? Talk about that for a hot second.
It's a keto diet that Dr. Gerber, Ideal Protein, where you purchase the food, and there's no carbs in it. You're buying 2 meals a day from him, and then you're eating a keto style protein and vegetable at night. But it really you couldn't really work out when you did it.
Why?
Because your calorie intake was so low, you had no strength. And until you got into phase 2 or phase 3, you could start working out there. Where this diet was a little different. You could, there wasn't a calorie restriction. There was just a food restriction, and you kind of found a path, to make work.
So that worked for you back in the day?
It did. I lost a lot of weight, but I lost a lot of strength, and then I had to build it back up again. And then when I kind of came off the diet, things kind of went sideways a little bit, put on a little weight. And then it was 10 pounds a year here, 10 pounds the next year. And then got to the point where I retired in May, and then we had a lot of free time, and COVID and everything else. There wasn't a group workout because I used to work out with a group of guys and did triathlons, and we kind of did a lot of stuff together. And then that kind of fell apart during COVID. And then when November came, it was I got to do something. So before the holiday season came, I said I got to start working out, and found this class and said give it a shot. And the diet was just an extra.
What do you think of when you walk into a place like this? What was one of the biggest struggles, do you think, for you?
It was intimidating.
Yeah.
Everybody was kind of younger than me and looked like they had been here a while as a group.
Everybody is younger than him. Freaking Ben Franklin is younger than him.
God.
But it was a little intimidating at first, and then just kind of kept to my corner. And
what made you what made you keep coming back? Because I think that's the big thing is you can walk in and be intimidated, and then all of a sudden you're like, it's not for me or it is for me. I feel like as a triathlete, you're competitive.
Well, yeah, you don't give up. I mean, you're looking for, leaving the firehouse, you kind of left that group mentality. They look like there, it was a kind of a group thing in here. Everybody, there was a lot of, you're doing good when you're running down to the hour back, and so there was a lot of positive feedback in the group, and just kind of find your niche, and it just once I start something, I just didn't want to quit yet. So.
Let's talk about stats in the last 6 weeks in that challenge. Would you lose?
20 during the challenge, and then another 5 or so, a little bit more after that, and dropped my cholesterol 30 points because I had an annual physical in just a couple weeks ago, and a bunch of inches. I think even more inches than the last time.
Yeah.
Might have been first place had you measured, right?
Okay. One thing at the gym, what we do is we place accountability on ourselves, right? We don't like to point the finger and say this is your fault, your fault, your fault. If you can't do something, you just take accountability for it.
I think he just pointed 3 fingers. He was just all 3.
Yeah, you guys all suck.
No.
Steph, what about you?
What about me?
One of the questions I just asked him, just rephrased to you.
As far
Can't remember specifically, but
as leading up to the challenge, I mean, in fitness and whatnot, I, as you know, have been on and off diet plans forever. I did Gerber a long time ago.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. And I lost a ton of weight, and it was great. But
Why did we
same
put it
thing.
back on? So let's talk about that real quick, because I think
Because
both
you had
of
to buy this shitty packaged food and shakes, and some of it was okay, but it was just very, very regimented and just not sustainable, really.
Yeah. It makes me
so-
nervous that you can't work out on such a lower caloric
And you have
intake.
no, like you said,
Yeah.
you have nothing inside of
Yeah, you
you.
have no sugar. You have no. I mean, you learn how to eat different vegetables, and that was probably the one thing. Like, I didn't like to drink beer after that because you just felt full,
Yeah.
like breads and things like that, and pastas. That changed, but you just still you had headaches the first
Well,
I don't
yeah.
know, month and a half.
Question,
Yeah.
was it his turn to talk?
I believe you were adding a layer on.
Okay.
I believe this is this is
Oh, it's a good show.
yes,
Okay, yeah.
Synergy.
Yeah, we're all equal.
I'll fill
Leading,
it.
sorry, anytime. Leading up to the challenge, I don't know, summertime, I feel like I always go a little bit off the rails, try to rein it back in the fall. It's like a cycle. And then, the fall turns into my birthday, my husband's birthday, my kids' birthdays, then leads into Christmas. And then around Christmas, I just stopped really caring about what I was eating and just going YOLO. And then I felt like crap. So
After Christmas turns into New Year's, turns into Valentine's Day, turns into
Exactly.
Easter.
St. Patrick's Day.
So I just, when the challenge came in, I knew I was 100% doing it because I had to get myself back together and get on track a little bit. And I know from doing the phases back a couple of years ago and being very successful that it was super effective and it worked. And it really wasn't that hard if you put the time into it and meal planned and prepped and stuff, then it was really not that difficult to keep going. So that's...
What makes you accountable during those 5 weeks?
My team, one for one. The 4 of us were texting constantly, talking about food, not just the 4 of us, a bunch of us.
Talking shit about the coaches. Too,
Yeah,
probably.
talking about the disorganization of the actual challenge itself. Shout out to my girls.
Yeah.
But no, they kept me accountable. We, talked about everything we were eating, meal planning, shopping, making sure we're not going out and drinking or binging, and just keeping each other really, on top of each other. And, that was very much important to me. And since then, since it's over, we're still kind of talking about meal plans. Although, people are going out more and drinking, we are still, checking in with each other and making sure that we're, eating right, congratulating each other on our workouts, and just trying to stay accountable.
Cool.
Well, your husband says going YOLO with quotes, so he's watching everything you say right now, which led me to my question. How did
He knows.
he knows what?
That I went YOLO
that
around
you went
Christmas.
super YOLO on this one?
Yeah, well, that too.
How did the influence of your families assist with this? Because I know one of the toughest things to do is to do something like this, like a challenge. It affects everyone around you. How did that affect your families going into this and afterwards? Because it's a lifestyle change, not just a diet.
I mean, speaking of my husband, he's been very supportive, and he's actually kind of done it along with me. Not necessarily the diet, but he's done his own sort of diet. But he also will, get up in the mornings and work out. So we're kind of on the same schedule. He's joined the boxing here. My kids, unfortunately, suffer the food consequences. I mean, not that some of it's good, but they get sick of chili and they get sick of the pasta, but we definitely didn't go out ever during like the whole month of January into February. I was kind of a hermit. I barely drank alcohol this entire year so far, which is fine. But, we definitely have stayed in a lot. So that's affected the family, I guess, that way.
Yeah, my wife did it with me. We kind of eat like that anyways. Adding the rice in was interesting to see, where it would go, because we kind of stayed with just the protein and vegetable, and it wasn't really working. And my younger son lives at home with us, and he would make his own white rice and have whatever we have, because he's pretty easy, because we've always eaten pretty well, even after since Gerber cut out a lot of the meat and pasta, stuff like that, and bread. So he's kind of used to it, and we stuck to a lot of stuff that we all like, so it wasn't too bad. And like I said, my wife, we would make breakfast stuff so that we would have stuff for the week, and lunch stuff, make a soup or something like that, and have that for lunch during the week. So yeah, that wasn't a problem at home.
Actually, I heard this quote the other day, so I'll tie it in there. You can go faster alone, but you can go further when you're together. So with you guys saying like you've done those Gerber diets alone versus now being a part of a team, do you think that kind of helped like push you a little bit forward? You obviously had the accountability. I know you kind of touched on that with your group messages with obviously more than people outside of your team. Mm-hmm. What about you, Tom? Because I think your team you didn't initially know really going in. Were you just like put together that weekend?
We were just put together by Dan that weekend. They were good. We texted back and forth, and I did some of the research, as far as like meals and things like that. Would text different things back and forth. One of the girls, I think Chris, had done it before, so she had given us all the advice. If you do phase 1 on Monday and Tuesday, and then phase 2 on Wednesday, Thursday, then you can kind of your weekend is freer, and that was like perfect. So that worked out. I did it that way, and that was good advice. And everybody was pretty supportive and texted back and forth and whatnot, even though we weren't really, nobody knew each other, so it was a little different than Stephanie's experience with having a group of people, the crew.
Yeah. I have a question. We're going to go back to accountability. Okay? What do we as coaches have to do a better job of doing to make sure that you guys just don't do something for 5 weeks and then go ham sandwich, go have a bunch of cocktails, go back to what you did before to get you to the point where you're unhappy, where you had to make a decision to make a change?
Loaded.
Let's go.
Like I'm sitting here like mentally taking notes. Like, all right, let's do this shit.
I'm ready.
It's a positive feedback thing, I guess. I mean, it's really up to the person to stick with it. I don't know how much a coach can push it, other than how are things doing, or we've texted back and forth. You asked me at one point, what are you gonna keep going, or what are you gonna do? And then you walk by and said on a random Thursday, I want your weight on Sunday morning, and then you said that I think you said it to Stacy, and that precipitated a small fracas over by the bikes. Yeah. But I mean, that's just and then I didn't text you one weekend, and you're like, hey, I didn't get a text, and I was like, I'll send it to you Monday.
Well, because you gained weight, I think it was.
No, I stayed the same. I think.
And I said, we can only celebrate the touchdowns and not the first downs? Okay. We can only send weight when we lose weight, but not when we gain it. So. What about you, Steph? What do you think?
I don't know. I mean, I guess I echo Tom a little bit. I don't know. I don't know the answer to this question.
It is a very, very tough thing for me to see, somebody work so hard, be so disciplined for a select amount of time, and then fall back to what they always have done. So like what personality characteristics do we have to alter, influence to make us better coaches so that way we can keep going? Because I don't feel like we overhit our potential. Like, yeah, shit, I lost 20 pounds in 5 weeks or 25 pounds or 15. Well, the ideal goal is I probably want to lose 35, but I'm so loose when it comes to, I'll kind of do it. I'll have a cocktail here and there. But like Steph said, I haven't had a drink in whatever. I have.
It's not about, well, for me, it's not about drinking.
Sure.
It's always about food.
Yeah.
I could care less about drinking, really. I mean, don't get me wrong.
Pause for a quick second. I think the drinking, though, opens up the Pandora's lunchbox to leniency, though.
Yeah.
Because if I go out and have a bunch of cocktails, now, number one, I'm already like,
Feeling good.
I like to eat when I drink, so.
yeah, but like I like to, I'm not as structured.
I think my issue is once I do celebrate, like Super Bowl, obviously it was the day after our challenge was over, and it was like,
That was strategic on our end, by
it
the
was
way.
awesome.
Yeah.
And but then I also felt terrible afterwards.
Well, how did you feel terrible? Just, talk about that the next
Like
day.
pooping my pants.
Yeah.
But also just like.
There was a few girls that came in that day. They were like, "Oh my god!" There
No,
was
it
a
was
plug.
so bad. I mean, you haven't eaten anything with sugar or like any fried food or anything in so long, and your body I couldn't handle it. So I mean, but I feel like once I do celebrate, then that's where I like kind of sometimes go off the deep end, and I really have to like keep myself in control to not do so. So I don't know. As far as keeping us accountable, checking in with us with the weights randomly, I think is important, or even just keep doing it weekly. I don't know. I think it's ultimately up to the person.
Sure.
So.
I think Dan had said it one day about you feel like towards the end of December with the Christmas parties and holidays, and that when you go through the first couple of phases or the first couple of weeks, and then you start to feel better. When you go back and you eat something you're not supposed to, that's not on the diet or that you haven't eaten, and you feel kind of crappy, you're like, maybe
Is it worth it?
Maybe I really don't need it.
Yeah.
And,
I also feel guilty.
yeah.
Yeah, because you're cheating yourself over the fact that you go this window 5-6 weeks and you make all these strides, and then all of a sudden I refer to as like the worst sugar headache on planet Earth, because you'll have alcohol, which basically becomes sugar, you'll eat
Right.
whatever, fried foods, and then the next day it's almost like being wasted. And I mean, although you say you haven't had any alcohol, which by the way is an awesome
Great thing.
it's a great thing. Because, I think that becomes a crutch for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And an exit, like Brian
Sure.
said.
But I have a question though. So it's like when we go back and eat that stuff or you drink that stuff, is it worth it, that temporary release? Like, yeah, I had it.
It's like that 3 minutes that you give yourself, like that. What would you say?
Is it
Temporary
worth it
gratitude.
to the next day or the next time we got to segue into this conversation. The next time we weigh ourselves, right? Because when we step on the scale, we ate like shit, we drank a lot. Obviously, the scale's an inflated number. Are we then dejected, being like, "Oh my God, this doesn't work," type thing?
Because it becomes a very
worth it?
what would you say, like pragmatic way of living, and
Yeah.
I think people kind of feel that weight on their shoulders now every single time. They're like, oh, this is going to be so exhausting. Like every time I have something in front of me, I have to battle inside, being like, okay, if I eat this, I'm going to feel this way. If I don't, whatever. They kind of go back and forth a lot, and I think that's where people find like the struggle mostly.
Mhm.
Like they think it's mentally exhausting.
Segueing into our relationship with the scale, Steph, can we talk about that one Wednesday morning?
That one.
The one Wednesday morning.
I don't know what you're talking
I'll paint the picture for you.
Okay.
Driving to work about 4 a.m.
about.
I get a text with someone's feet on a scale. Wednesday.
Yeah.
What day do we weigh ourselves? Sunday. I got a text on Wednesday.
Okay, I remember now.
Okay. You want to keep going, or do you want
No,
to?
no, I was pissed because I was
Yeah.
doing the diet for, at that point, like 3 weeks, and I got on the scale.
And you lost how much? Like your first 2 weeks?
10
like 10
pounds.
pounds. Your first 2
Yeah,
weeks.
but then it didn't move forever.
Okay.
It didn't move for a while. And and I was getting very frustrated because I was being perfect with the diet and working out every day.
Yeah.
And so I texted you randomly on a Wednesday that the scale hadn't moved, and you yelled at me
I don't know if I ever raised my voice, but
via text. You raised your voice.
I didn't text you back, by the
Capital
way.
letters.
Oh yeah, you didn't.
I didn't text. I didn't text her back,
You didn't
but I think
respond.
she was right there in the corner, and I kind of like gritted my teeth and said something to her.
You did.
But I thought about, like, you know, there's so many factors at play in weight loss, and I think you're menstruating. You just came off your first phase 1, so all your carbs are turning into water. So of course you're not gonna, you know, have a number on your scale that's, you know, what you want to see. But I think that week you lost 4 pounds.
I think yes.
And hang on, and she got mad at me because I didn't text her back to celebrate the fact that she lost 4 pounds. And I
And
said,
you just ghost me.
yeah.
It's rude.
I don't care. I don't feel like I should have celebrated that because I got yelled at 4 o'clock in the morning. That's how my day started.
The scale, I mean, I really try not to weigh myself every day. I have to like talk myself out of it a lot of mornings. But I do weigh myself randomly during phase 2 because I feel like I'm, you know, not eating, so I should be losing weight.
Okay, yeah.
So I know that's not the right thing to do.
What do you think the relationship with the scale is like then? So are we like super motivated when it keeps going down, and we're getting discouraged if it plateaus or if it goes up 0.4, 0.6?
I mean, I get pissed when it goes up 0.4.
Okay.
But I know it's all based on so many different factors, but it's still, to me, it's just been so ingrained in my head. The number on the scale is what matters, but
Yeah.
I'm trying to not think that way because, like, I feel good and I think my clothes fit good, and even though the scale hasn't really moved a lot in the last like 2 weeks, I'm just trying to stay positive. And keep
Fast
going.
forward 10 years, your daughter deals with the same thing. What advice would you give her?
To forget about the scale,
Oh. So you're a hypocrite then if you
for sure.
love it.
I think it's a generational thing because my mom was on diets forever, so I think it's just what I've seen. So.
Yeah.
Which,
I like that.
Which leads me to this, like Tom, we were talking before pod about you're a father of 2 older kids. You've got kids that are younger. How do you want them to view you post-challenge? Like showing them that you can achieve stuff while you're older and being a positive role model.
Yeah.
So
He's-
so he's looking at me.
Yeah.
My younger one's trying to put on weight. He's 6'3", 165, and trying to get to 175. So he's
Jesus
trying
Christmas.
to put on weight, which is funny because my wife and I are on this diet. He gets mad. He's like, "What are we having for dinner tonight?" And he'll come home with a bag of Chipotle or Five Guys. He's eating 5 times a day. So it's an interesting dynamic. But I think he didn't go to college, so he worked at home. He's working at my office now, and now he'll leave at 3:30 every day, go home and go to the gym for 2 hours. I think he was at the gym for 2 hours last night, and then came home, and I had made just a shrimp and artichoke thing for dinner and some rice, and he chowed down, and then I think he went out and got something else later on in the night too to eat again. But so I mean he's done he's kind of got on the workout kick, and I don't know if he knows that I've struggled with my weight. We've done these diets. They had to live through all that. He blames being skinny because we don't eat bread and pasta in the house, or we don't have anything. He'll come in randomly and just say, "Can you go to the grocery store and please buy me some food because there's nothing in the pantry." So it's kind of worked out in that way. I think he's seen the gym. He's liked to work out, and hopefully that's the way it goes, and hopefully his metabolism stays that way and he doesn't get my metabolism.
I mean, my kids, they see us working out all the time, which is, I think, a great thing.
It's a great thing.
Yeah, they're young. My son's 7, my daughter's 4. And, they know my son is always on the couch when I get home from the gym, so he knows I'm at the gym every morning. And, sometimes I go down on the treadmill even afterwards, and he'll come down and, or he'll wake up and come down to the basement and see my husband and I down in the basement working out. And then he'll be like, let me show you my push-ups.
The push-ups are great.
Yeah, he's doing pretty good.
Yeah.
He wants to run on the treadmill, which I don't let him do because I don't think he's coordinated. But he has gone for like jogs around the block with my husband and I. And same with my daughter. She's still little, but she'll come downstairs and grab the 5-pound weights and like try to lift them and stuff. So we don't ever really talk about it, but I think they see it, so I'm hoping that, and they've come here a few times, obviously, so I think that they will hopefully grow up with the same, you know, idea that working out is important for you and for health and for your mind.
Yeah.
But they don't know that yet. But I think they will. And I said to Josh this morning, I want my son to start coming to little kid classes because I think he would really like it.
Yeah.
Obviously, the challenge was a weight loss challenge, so there was a lot of like physicality to it. But what about like the mental part? You know, because there's definitely times that you're trying to talk yourself out of it, whether or not you should keep going forward. What are things like? I mean, obviously, again, you have your team with you to help you out when times might have gotten a little bit more tough. But you know, I think that's a struggle people have the most. Is just their mentality through it. What were a couple things that kept you guys going?
I mean, first of all, the fact that I paid the money and I had 6 weeks or 5 weeks of unlimited gym, I was like, I'm going every day.
Yeah.
I mean, and I did. The only days I missed were like the snow days that you closed for 5 a.m.
Could have came at 4:30.
I could have, but
5:30
I
too.
work.
One of the great classes.
Yeah.
Nah, it's not for me.
Better coach.
Yeah. I
Um,
wouldn't say that was
But I mean,
nicer hair.
nice, that's true. So just the fact that I had it there at my disposal, I was like, I'm getting up and going every day, even though, you know, getting up in the morning sometimes is really hard. I had a group of 10 people on my text chain that are also showing up at the same time. So it's definitely easier to come in when you have friends here that, you know, that's basically the only time I get to see them. And I mean, there was a point that I saw Jenny and Stacy, I think, every day for like 20 days straight, which is fun for me. So it's just, that definitely keeps me motivated to keep coming to the gym.
It was structure, you know, after COVID, working out at home in the basement, not with it, I kind of got used to the structure, and coming in at, you know, 5 was just the right time for me. End of the day, don't really, you know, have long days. I got some night meetings that I have to go to, so the evening classes, you know, weren't something, you know, that I could fit in. So it was, you know, that getting back to having a structure of a group workout, and knowing again that, you know, I'm paid for something, and I got 6 weeks. And
5.
so 5?
Yeah.
5 felt like 6.
Trust us, I did too. I feel like I look at him like Tito and still look at me like I'm down here, looking at him, my head cocked. And I'm just like waiting for him to like
Mom and
say
Dad.
something like treat or something. Like ride, and I'm all
It's all right,
jacked
son.
up about it. Like, but you know, if you guys can watch on the replay, just watch my head cocked and like I'm
boy.
engaged in everything that comes out of his mouth.
Wow.
Oh boy.
What was the hardest thing? I mean, everybody talks about like, the food. You know, what was the? I don't want to say like it's rainbows and butterflies, because now I think you're sugarcoating it and telling people that, oh my God, like, yeah, it's easy, you can do it. But what were some of the roadblocks or obstacles that you guys faced in the last 5 weeks?
Probably not losing as much as I wanted to lose. I mean,
Mentally?
you get that first initial. For me, there was a big drop the first 2 weeks, and then you hit week 3 and it's not going anywhere. And you're like, I had a schedule in my mind. I'm working out harder than, you know, probably I did the last time. You know, then you start to thinking in your head, am I putting on muscle? Did I drink enough water? You know, so it was those like, what didn't I do? What did I do? You know, maybe I'm putting on too much muscle because I'm working out every day for, you know, an hour and getting our ass kicked, and then, you know, not eating. You know, if it's phase 2, you feel like you can eat, you know, meat. You can only eat so much meat and vegetables in those 2 days, and you don't feel full, and it's like, you know, what's going on? So that was kind of a struggle, you know, because I use the scales kind of keep me in line.
Yeah.
What did I do? What didn't I do? Is this working? Is that not working? You know.
Is it fair to say like how long, like let's just say how long it takes you to add weight? So like, have you guys been, let's call it out of shape, I won't use the term overweight, for, I don't know, let's call it 6 months? More than 6 months, you say?
Oh, For me, yeah.
So let's talk about the fact that is it going to take 6 weeks to lose all that you put on in 6 months?
Right. No.
So is it realistic for me to say like, okay, I'm going to lose 20 pounds, 35, 50 pounds in 6 weeks?
I was gonna say, when people come in, even if it is like their first week or the beginning of the challenge, some people aren't happy with the weight that they lost. But where does the expectation come from that you're gonna lose that 20 pounds in a week
Yeah.
versus 6 weeks?
Well, because I think we're impatient.
Yeah.
Like we want like instant oatmeal results. Like think about our society. Think about your phone. If your Wi-Fi doesn't connect or refresh at a certain time, what
Turn
do we
your
do?
Wi-Fi
Turn
off.
the Wi-Fi off. Boom.
You
Right.
go to Amazon and it's like, shit, I have to wait 4 days for this package?
Yeah.
Why do I pay for Prime every month? I want it tomorrow.
We want it like so fast.
Yeah.
But I think about like we don't deserve it, the results, if it happens so fast. Because I think about like look at the hard work, the consistency that you guys put in. There's just your careers. Think about that. You spent 10, 12, 15 years in a career, for schooling to get the ideal job. Think about Josh. Josh just got out of school and he's got the best job in the world.
He does.
Damn straight.
Best job in the world. Wears pajamas, got a stupid comb over, works with us every day.
Gets to leave and take breaks.
Oh,
And go home
yep.
for several hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lucky guy.
Boss brings him coffee anytime he wants. Wow. But what do you think the expectation
there.
comes in there?
We'll go down the line.
Oh my God.
But my dogs lick my mouth too,
I'm not
so.
gonna do that.
Oh,
Yeah, this is weird, Dan.
You guys are the only adults, you two, of all people? Yeah,
Things got
okay.
weird.
All right, SpongeBob and Adam Levine.
Tell me where these pants.
You got Maroon 5 on today, let's
Yeah,
go.
but I mean, it's
They're just maroon.
Where do you think the expectation is set from though, like Josh said? Like scale? Like you're gonna drop it in 20 pounds in 5 weeks?
I think it's because oh sorry.
No, go ahead.
I think it's because we have become like addicted to the quick fix, and like we have become acclimated to going to supermarkets and seeing like drop 10 pounds in 4 days doing this fad thing, and then like both of them said they had unlimited classes for 5 weeks, along with all of their peers around them pushing them, and in the back of our minds there's still that little light that's like lose faster, lose faster, lose faster, lose quicker. And it's
Yeah.
like, you have to kind of learn to find that switch and kill it.
I think it's because you're kind of depriving yourself and you're cutting things out that you regularly enjoy. So you feel like, well, I'm doing this, so I should be losing weight.
Pause for a quick second. Define enjoy.
Like ice cream,
Sure.
coffee.
Sure.
And
But do we enjoy the way we look and feel 23 and a half other hours a day other than the time that we eat that ice cream?
No.
So do we really enjoy it?
I no.
So
I
think about
guess.
that though. I don't think we think about that stuff. Like I love this coffee. It's like my little thing every day. But do I need it? No.
I mean, it was very. It was easier for me to cut out coffee this time around, but then like as soon as I started having a cup a day, I'm like, all right, I'm back into it.
Yeah.
Like, because it's
It's
that.
routine.
Well, it's routine, and it's just like a little bit of satisfaction.
Sure.
Like a comfort thing. too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you were saying what the hardest part is. I mean, phase 2 is definitely the hardest part for me, 100%. Like I can get through the rest of the week, but phase 2, I have to like really be mentally tough the whole time to not go get a cup of coffee or not just have a little piece of chocolate or.
Or get down on ourselves, like you were saying, because you basically have no sugars and everything when you're doing like a Thursday morning workout.
Yeah.
And you have bonked, or even going into Friday morning and you haven't taken into, and you're pissed off at yourself because it's like, I'm doing this, my performance should be better.
Right.
But it's that short little window before you get that boost through the weekend.
Yeah, that's true. Also, I think the weekend is hard, some for me, because I sometimes wish I was doing phase 3 during the week, because then I would enjoy it more, because the weekends are less regimented, where I'm like not taking advantage of having my hummus or almond butter. Like it's like I'm eating nuts in the car on the fly, where I could be sitting down and really enjoying a treat, like my almond butter is my treat. So sometimes I think about mixing up the phases during the week,
Yeah.
because
Changing your schedule, starting on a different day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for me, always phase 2 is the hardest part.
Let's go closing comments, questions, thoughts. Coaches, ask a final question for these guys.
What do you want to do within the next 6 months that will continue to keep you on the path that you're currently on?
I think keeping with with working out and finding a way to keep the diet as kind of more of a lifestyle change, as you said. I mean, we went away last weekend and we went to a place that was on Barstool for their pizza. And, you know, it had been there forever. And we looked, the pizza came out, the people next to us had one. It was small. It was a huge pizza, but it was their small. We're like, yeah, we're just gonna get a salad, and we split a dinner and decided not to try the pizza because there was so much we knew we weren't gonna. So we've kind of changed that, that little bit in those ways about choosing what we're gonna eat and not wanting to feel like crap afterwards. So it's been, the diet was kind of an extra piece. I didn't know it was coming. I didn't know it was part of the challenge, and it's kind of been a positive, thing that came out of it for me was probably this diet that I hadn't heard of before, and I was like, wow. And I've shared it with some other people that I know have struggled and said, hey, this is what's going on, and you should try this because it's different.
I think that's one of the best things for me, because I think we've done a bunch of different nutrition plans to figure out what's the best one to do. I'll always promote this plan just because I feel like you're not restricting. Like, you guys couldn't have carbs. Imagine me saying, like, oh, don't have fruit, don't have bread, don't have pasta. Like, I don't think anyone in their right frame of mind can do it and sustain it. Like, for me, I think it's the most sustainable thing that anybody could ever do. And if you can't follow it, I feel like you couldn't follow anything. Just because I think a lot of, like, keto is super tough.
Mm-hmm.
When you totally restrict yourself from something, you want it so much more. But you didn't give us a clearly defined goal. You just said, I want to stick with something. That's not a goal.
Well, I'm trying to get back to where I was, if I can.
What word did
was
you just
with
use,
Gerber.
coaches?
If
And what else?
Try.
Thank you. Good. So give us another goal. Let's start this all over again.
I really wish I had my camera out
Dude,
to take this.
Polaroid.
I want to keep losing the weight and stick with
What's
the
your
diet.
number? What do you want to be at?
What's the number? 215. I would like to.
By
be-
when?
Maybe the end of summer.
Where is this maybe? Just
Well,
have a
we
clearly
can see.
defined goal. Yeah, it's like, well, hang on, it's September.
Well, again, I don't know how much
I don't
lose,
care.
'cause
I don't care.
I'm working on putting on
I don't
muscle.
care.
At some point, I might not be able to reach.
Have a goal. We had a goal last week, and we were going to run 48 miles. We were going to say, maybe we'll just do 32. Maybe we'll just push it to the end of Sunday.
Okay.
I'll put you in the hot seat. There you go.
220
Talk about sweating.
225 by the end of summer.
What's the end of summer? Is that
August.
August? Okay. 225, 215 by the end of August.
Okay.
Okay, good. Stephanie Tanner.
She just looked over to me. And
I
said,
heard her say
"I
it.
have a goal."
I don't have a goal. I don't know. I mean, there's numbers in my head, but I'm not going to say them on the internet.
Sure.
Internet.
Internet. I feel like it's a
Interweb.
Yes.
Interwebs. Gosh.
Is there an activity or a goal that you didn't think that you would be able to achieve that you want to do?
I mean, I feel like I already achieved that with the Spartan last year. I never thought in my life I would run a Spartan. And
How proud were we when she did it, though? It was super fun, all muddy and stuff,
I
and
mean,
like dirty.
It was definitely something, like I said, never in my life would I think I would do that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I do run 5Ks with the girls sometimes, but
So you want to do a 6K?
I mean, what's a
I
6K?
don't know, 10K?
No.
I mean, you're also,
Well,
you gotta think you're also talking to a ton of people. So now for like the weeks ahead, they're probably gonna be like, hey, Steph, what's the goal? So now you got a little bit more pressure on your
Well,
back.
could
to
I think
figure
about
something.
it?
Yeah.
Your husband says you're lying. Sorry, John. And this is why I love being able to read
Hang on,
this.
pause for a quick second. I want to talk about Johnny D, because he's the best. Johnny D says, listen, so my wife and Ash are doing such a great job. I want to give them a treat. And I said, what's a good treat for me to give them? I said, why would you give them a treat if that's like the thing that they're trying to stay away from? So I said, why don't you get them like a massage or anything like
Still
that?
haven't gotten that.
Johnny D, massage.
Bro.
Let's go, bro.
Not,
won.
not from him.
That's how you got 2 kids. Let me rub your feet 9 months later.
Exactly.
I think that's something that you need to clearly identify because that's what's going to keep you going and keep you accountable too.
And my problem is
I don't want problems. I want
Okay.
solutions.
All right.
So give us something.
I don't know. You're putting me on the spot.
Okay.
Making me nervous.
Bob Dean said that's his same goal. He wants to do it with you. So you have an
Okay.
accountability
Aw.
buddy. That's cute,
That's
right?
so nice. You
Yeah.
guys gonna look at each other.
Yeah.
He's got to come back. I haven't
Yeah.
seen him
Well,
in a week.
Tom just gave me like side eye when he did it, and my heart went pitter patter.
Must be a 5 a.m. thing because
Yeah.
everyone on here keeps talking about how great 5 a.m. is.
Oh, what's that long one?
Nina was
Oh.
saying that she loves this. 5 a.m. is definitely the best.
I feel like we're causing issues.
Yeah.
Sorry, everybody else. You're great too.
And
They're all good in their own way.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Randy's run with me stuff.
Who is that?
That would be Brody. So how dare you talk shit about Brody?
I would never talk about Brody. She's the one that got me through the Spartan, for the record.
Good.
Thank God for her. I did Randy's run last year and it was very hard, but I will do it again with Brody.
Okay.
That's my goal.
I like
It's like all uphill and it's terrible.
Sure. Okay.
So,
I like it.
okay.
Any feedback, real quick, like 30-second, non-Dan type response, that information or feedback that you would like to give somebody if they're struggling and they're sitting on the couch, what would you say to them?
Oh boy.
I mean, everyone says it. You just have to walk through the doors and
Somewhere. I don't want to. This is not a like promote the gym type thing. I don't want
No.
this. You just do something, right?
you just have to start. You just have to get up and move. I mean, you feel so much better after you work out, and you just mentally and not just physically, but just like you feel so much more relieved and happier, and you just have to put yourself first and start, and and you'll find a community that feels the same way.
Mm-hmm. That was good. That was like 32 seconds.
My wife and I used to joke, nothing tastes as good as skinny feels, I think was the saying that went around. So, when we would be trying to stay away from certain things and we actually would and not eat something that we're like, hey, we should have that. And we're like, and we would not eat it and eat something that was, better for us or whatnot. It'd be like, I'm glad I didn't do that.
Yeah.
I don't feel like crap. Feeling good, when you start to feel good, and it kind of builds on itself.
Yeah, I like it. Coaches, closing arguments.
Think with actions and consequences. So be pragmatic in your daily living.
Wow. That's deep.
Thanks.
Those.
For some people, 5 weeks to lose 20 pounds, it's like it didn't take 5 weeks to gain it. So just have the patience with yourself to be able to go through the process and enjoy the process, because by the end, you got great results.
Surround yourself with people I think that are going to lift you up, and not people that are going to diminish your accomplishments. I think like if we go out, or like your friends are going out and you don't want to have a drink, surround yourself with people that are going to be like, hey, I got you, Tom. Hey, he's going to have a water. Not the person that's like, grab her a vodka. She'll have a cocktail. So don't put yourself in that circle of people that are going to kind of like dull your shine. Yeah. Rebranding Coffee Talk, by the way.
Oh, I was gonna ask if that was all right.
Go,
I was gonna
yeah.
say if you guys want to maybe throw some, recommending names.
Yeah.
Just what you guys think would fit. We're gonna keep the theme of Coffee Talk, but for legal purposes, somebody might already have Coffee Talk, so we gotta think around the box a little bit.
So
Not
we're going
like
to do
legal
Facebook
troubles.
Live every week still, but the replay will be on a YouTube channel, a separate YouTube channel, and then also a new website that's going to be developed for all this stuff. So
Is this the last coffee talk?
this is the last and final
Like,
Wow.
Coffee Talk
Under the
here.
name of Coffee Talk.
Yeah, so we're throwing out different names. If you guys want to comment different names on this post that you guys think would be fun, but also appropriate, that would be great too. So RIP Coffee Talk.
It was fun while it lasted.
The send off. Now you guys all get a car.
Check under your seat.
Wait Wait a second.
Java and